Hey there, Ryan Kingsline here. Let's talk about the, I'm going to say anatomy of achievement, but let's say another way. Let's say achievement for artists. Two words that don't really go together, right? Achievement, totally different world, isn't it? It's MBAs, it's spelling bees, it's all kinds of stuff that art's not. Art is just, it's a different process. You don't even know when you've actually achieved. You don't know what success looks like half the time. It just suddenly appears and you feel it. It's more internal as opposed to external. But there are certainly the opposite of achievement. Have you ever just felt frustrated, blocked, just stagnation, unable to move yourself forward, locked in at a plateau? If you felt that, then the other side of that coin is growth, is achievement, is becoming more, is promoting yourself, so to speak. And that's what we want to talk about here. How do we as artists grow? What's the process? What's the way of thinking about it? And I've got a couple of concepts that I think might be interesting, might be valuable for you. So the first thing I want to do is talk about the anatomy of achievement. So let's go back to that phrase. What does it mean to achieve? You can think about it in really simple terms. Think about it like this. Think about it as though there's this line, all right? Or we can think about it as a pyramid. Let's take a look here. On one end of this pyramid, there is going to be our why. This is our base. This is the foundation of it. There is our why we are doing this. Motivation, how does it relate to our core? You know, all of this stuff. And then there is our how on the other side of this base. And the how is our craft. It's also the psychology of it. And if these guys are the base, they're the base for our what? Whatever it is, right? You can't just, let's say you want to create a painting. You can't just start with the what. Maybe you have done this before. You've thought, okay, well, I'm going to just paint this. And then you get in there and you start to lose motivation. You don't know really what to do, and you kind of eventually peter out, and what happens? You abandon the project because your why was not established. Because you had no reason to devote your life to it. Or maybe you did devote a part of your life and you were struggling and you were trying to move yourself forward, but you didn't have the skill. There was something missing. You didn't know some element of anatomy, some element of color, and it wasn't getting the results that you really felt like you needed to get. So you didn't have the how, or some element of how. What isn't going to be our primary focus? And this is whether or not you're a businessman or an entrepreneur. You might figure out what it is you want to do, but you still got to go backwards. You got to get your motivation, and you got to be focused on your how. You got to be in there and really looking and making sure that you have the skills and you have the craft and the capacity to do that. So let's take a look at how people normally grow. What is the process? What's the life cycle for that? And see if we can't learn a couple of things along the way, both about our process and how it is that we will grow and how maybe other people have. So the first thing that we got to do is we got to look at this achievement as though it is a ladder. And I want you to think about this ladder with these two ends, where one end is the why and one end is our how. All right. But instead of thinking of this as a pyramid, again, we're going to think about this as a ladder. And so we want to think about this as going up and up and up. And as this goes up and up and up, there are different levels of how and different levels of why. And if, this is my theory I'm going to postulate to you, if you want to grow in life, in your art, do you change what you are doing in terms of what your focus is, what you want? Do you say, hey, okay, in order to level up in life, I want to run a business that makes 20 million a year. In order to level up in life, I want to get that $2 million home with a pool in the back, right? I want to level up in life. I want that Ferrari. Is that going to make it happen? Chances are no, right? In order to make that happen, we might have our eyes set on that goal. But in order to make that happen, we need to have what? What are the two things we need to have? We need to have the why. So we have why this is important to us. We have the motivation. We have the core. We have our commitment level, so to speak. And then we have to have our how. We got to have the skills to do it, or we have to know how to get the skills to do it. We got to have a sense of the craft, a way to hack things. We got to have resources. And this isn't external, which is stuff we'll talk about. This is, we need to be resourceful. We need to be looking for ways inside ourselves to kind of get there. Because we've all been in a position where we're like, I want that. How do I get it? Well, I got to go take classes. Oh, I need more money, right? I love this. All the time I ask people, what's the thing holding you back? I don't have enough money. Bullshit. Bullshit. Money is never the reason. Money is a symptom. It's a symptom of something else. It always is. I know this from my own life, from my own experience. All of my financial struggles, my difficulties, all the moments in which I made decisions that didn't give me the financial resources I need, those came from something inside me. Those came from my level of why, where I was, how committed was I to making this happen? Did I put the resources in to get and resolve the how? And if I didn't, it's on me. It's a symptom of my why and a symptom of my how. So we want to look at this ladder. We can call this the ladder of achievement, right? Maybe we'll come up with another name later. But at this level, let's say we start at the very bottom. And at the very bottom, let's say we start with this one, let's look at it from emotional perspective. So in the how down here, we start out with interested. So we're interested in something, and people tell me, oh, I'm interested in this class. I'm interested along with $5 is going to get you a latte. Okay? Interested is nothing, and especially in art today, it's not going to get you past the first obstacle. It's not going to get you past the first problem. It's not going to get you even down the slope of the valley of the suck, much less into the valley of the suck. Interested people stop. Is that what's been happening in your life? If it has, this is what we're trying to conquer. This is what we're trying to move forward with. I'm interested in something. The other side of that is I am indecisive. So if I am indecisive, but I'm interested, what do you think the result is going to be? Chances are the result is going to be inactivity, all right? And I'm lining these up with alliteration for you so it sticks in your mind. If you're interested, you're also indecisive. You can't be both, or you can't be one without the other. I'll say it that way. Interested comes with indecisive. People who are totally decisive, they're not interested, they're freaking committed. They are ready to go, to launch into this, and they want to just destroy and make this happen. Okay, it's their passion, it's their purpose. All right? But if we're interested, we're indecisive, it's going to lead us to some inactivity in our life. We're not going to get a lot of things done. So how do we start to move forward? What's at the top of this ladder? What if at the top of this ladder, at the highest point of achievement, if all we had to do was make sure that this was connected to our purpose in life. So we're going to put it over here. So we've got our purpose in life. And it's our passion. We wake up in the morning, this is what we want to do. If we are operating from that perspective, that's when you are in power. That's when things are really moving forward. But there is a long journey from interested to passionate. And part of what we have to do is train ourselves to fall in love with what we are doing. Train ourselves to really get in and enjoy it, because most people screw that part of it up, myself included. What we do is we're interested, but the next step in that ladder might be that we get a little critical of ourselves. We get a little critical of where we are. As soon as you get critical, you're going to get really confused about what you do next. You're not going to be sure. It's a step up from indecisive because now you've made some element of commitment to it. But what do I do? How do I fix this? And the critical part of us can't fix the confused part. It's that whole statement from Einstein that the same level of intelligence that creates a problem can't solve it. Because the problem is inherent in the framework and it's in the thinking. And so most people start their artistic endeavors by jumping into this critical mindset. What do I need to fix? What's wrong? Maybe that's wrong. Maybe this is wrong. Maybe that's wrong. What's the result? Right? And remember, I'm going to rhyme these things for you. The result, if you're critical about it, if you're confused about it, chances are you're going to be a bit cagey about the entire equation. You're going to be kind of excited, but you're going to be kind of frustrated. And you're going to be kind of stymied, and you're kind of just not sure where to go. You know that there's something here, but you just can't get your hands on it. You just don't feel it's for you, maybe. Right? And so that might lead you to hop off this ladder and go climb up another ladder. Right? But this is one of the hurdles that we need to overcome. Remember in Malcolm Gladwell, this book called The Dip, everything has a dip. But you can take that concept further. Everything that you do, right? He says, for example, being a doctor, chemistry, organic chemistry is the dip. So many people fail that. It's a weed out class, whatever you want to call it, right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It's part of what makes being a doctor valuable because it literally keeps people from being a doctor. And it keeps that group scarcer and scarcer. And what we want to do is we want to find the dip that exists in whatever our process is. And it's not going to be just one, I can guarantee you. There's going to be multiple moments in which this happens. Okay? But you got to think about that dip as a valley of the suck that you have to walk through. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the suck, my rod and my staff shall comfort me. You have tools. You have your why. You have your hows and you have your resourcefulness. You have capacity, you have ability. But it requires you to start to adopt a different level of energy and a different level of approach. Okay, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. But really here, what I want you to see is how your approach affects your what you experience as well as what you produce. Okay? Because ultimately what we want to be doing is we want to move to this stage where we are committed to this. So the key thing we have to do is we have to figure out how to go from critical to passionate. And that's a love affair with our art. It's the pursuit of passion. Let's look at this another way. I think another way might give you a window into what's happening. I don't want you to think about this as a ladder. What I want you to do is think about this as a hero's journey. And I want you to think about the path that we go through as artists. And it all starts with what I call the void, the emptiness, just where you are right now. But then you hear a voice. Something is calling you, telling you that you should do this. You start to get interested, but you're indecisive about it. So then the next thing they say, the resistance to the call or the animal of fear. And you feel it inside yourself. And it comes across as strong resistance, this fear, that manifests in a lot of different ways. But one of the primary ways is by being critical. Overly critical of ourselves, of other people, of being judgmental about this. Well, it's not really, it's not me, it's not that. And then this is just the beginning of this journey. So how do we continue to move all the way through our journey as artists to really reach that next stage, that next level? And it's not like this is a one-time thing, right? So this can always be, if we look at it another way, multiple levels. And our job is that we will spiral up through these levels, always facing the same problems, always facing the call, the resistance, the animal of fear, always facing that, never being 100% perfect, never being 100% at peace, always facing these things. But if we know what the elements are, then we have a chance to go up that ladder to reach the artwork that we really feel we can do. So what comes after the animal of fear? The next thing we would look at, or the next thing that we need to understand, is the vision. Sometimes that vision is forced upon us. Luke Skywalker resists the call to join Obi-Wan. His family is slaughtered. He has nowhere to go. He must accept the vision. Becoming a Jedi, moving forward. Sometimes that's the way it manifests. In movies, that's the way it really builds dramatic arc. There has to be resistance. There has to be something that's irrefutable. Every single day, we have a choice. We have something that we are resisting. And many of us will wait until our life burns to the ground before we grow. But it doesn't have to be that way, because all we need to get past this moment, this fundamental crux that we're facing, is being critical. And being critical comes because of one fundamental thing. We're afraid. We're afraid we're going to fail. We're afraid somebody's going to laugh at us. So how do we go from fear to the vision? And there's more to be had here. There is the value, or this is when you make the commitment, right? Then you come down and you have the play. Then you have consequences of play, right? Once you commit, you have this wonderful period where you're just playing. But then play isn't the thing. It's not real yet because you haven't suffered any consequences. So Luke Skywalker goes off to be a Jedi and he experiences this and he experiences that. But he's playing until he sees his father in that cave, until he meets his father. That's when he experiences the consequences. Choom. The facts. And that's when he must rise. Past being a kid, past playing with these skills, past playing with this life, and he must rise to another level of commitment. As you must as an artist, you get through this animal of fear, you develop a vision, and then hopefully the most important thing for you, the next thing for you is to just start to play and enjoy and build some sense of love for what you do. But then you have to make money. Then you have to produce work. Then you have to show it to somebody else to buy it. And that's when you'll either rise or you won't. And this is one of the crux the crucial points right here in this rise for whether or not you will continue to do the work, which is simply going back into the void and growing again or stagnating. There's a whole arc to this entire journey that we are on as artists. And the most important thing for us to look at and understand is that we start interested. And then it would be so nice if that next step was passion and love. And for some of us, it is. But for some of us, it's not. And the next step is this critical element. The animal of fear comes out inside you. And now you have to assuage those fears so that you can move on to the next step, which is to develop the vision. And then play. And then face the consequences of that. And then rise. And then create the work that is going to make your life meaningful on a whole nother level. So how do we go from critical to vision? Let's see if we can explore that in the next video.